She didn't like the cameras, so being able to have cameras away for a little bit, us be able to like get to know each other a little better. I think especially at the pace that we were moving in, or we currently are moving in, that.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Little Black Buck. You know what time it is. Talk to you guys about Miles and Karen, and talking about Karen changing because the cameras are no longer there. Guys, if you are new to the channel, make sure you like, you share, you subscribe, you click on that bell button for notification of the what? Uploads, baby. And for those of you who are returnees, well, you got the minerals, you got the minerals. Yeah. All right, cool. Don't forget as well, grab your merchandise as well. Don't let us down. Grab your mineral hoodies as well. Guys, send them back to the manufacturer is important here today. So I really believe that people react or behave as they mean to go on. Yeah. Now, if Karen was a dude and the dude was misbehaving and they were in a marriage like they were, we would be saying, sis, it ain't going to get no better. Leave it now. He ain't going to change. Why is it that we feel it's capable for Karen to change in a scenario because cameras are on her? I'm not saying there isn't going to be some little bit of a change. I'm not saying that there will be a relaxation of behavior. I'm not saying that there won't be some type of fluctuation in behavior. But what I am saying is that the ability to believe that Karen would change and become suddenly more affectionate and more caring once the cameras are gone makes no sense. Why? Because you start as you mean to go on. Now, the cameras didn't have to be there every single second. She could have been affectionate off camera. When the cameras were off, she could have been more affectionate. Do you know what I mean? Like I've always said this, like how you look, the cameras are there for a period of time. We understand, right? But when the cameras are not, when the cameras aren't there, or you can request and say, hey, look, I don't want to film this part of it because, you know, I want to respect my family. The little touches here and there are got nothing to do with the camera being there. The little hugs and the little kisses, things that are not even too heavy. Listen, I understand the traditional woman and man. I can understand that from back in the day. That would not be one of the things they would be cancelling. I can tell you that, nah. You understand? Now, no one's asking for mad kisses, but hugs, sitting on someone's lap, you know, your arm around him, like simple things like that of affection, emotion, physical intimacy, as well as emotional intimacy. Simple things like that, a compliment here or there. It's not big to do on camera. You know what I mean? It's not a violation of of doing these things, right? So I already know that when you tell me, oh no, I'm going to behave differently when the camera's not there, I'm like, no, you're not. You're going to behave the exact same way. Yeah, you're going to behave the exact same way. And in fact, it's going to get worse because the second law of what is it? Thermodynamics or entropy, I think it's called. Things progressively get worse. Why? Because unfortunately, people get more complacent as time goes on. If you're not doing it now, whilst you're using the romantic honeymoon phase energy to do it, you ain't gonna do it when you're not gonna do it when we're stuck in the mud and we're more concrete and more solidified in our ways. You won't do it because it's not part of your routine now. You know what I mean? You said already yourself you were struggling to do this thing. So why would we think that she would change once the cameras come on? Now, I know Miles mentioned the fact that, you know, especially for Karen, you know, because of cameras, she didn't like the cameras, but the cameras got nothing to do with her behavior. She's going to be the exact same way now as she will be when the camera's not there. And I think that was proven, quite frankly, when we see the cut scene of him saying that she ain't changed and the camera's been there. The camera's gone. No, nothing's really changed. Why? Because that's who she is to you. Now, to someone else, she might be touchy-feely, but to you, she's not going touchy-feely.
Now the cameras are gone, and she was not feeling me similarly.
Okay.
Right? She's already expressed that and told us that. In fact, she told us that I cannot do that because the emotional leads to the physical. Sir, she ain't changing. And you knew that. And you knew that, Miles, because you said yourself, there are things that we haven't sorted out. Right? There are things that are legitimate concerns for you, and you ignored those red flags. Now, if you ignore red flags, that says a lot more about you, Miles, as well. That's going to be very frank. We're not trying to bash him. We're not let him know. That says a lot more about ourselves, because the red flags we've said are things that we cannot accept. You know what I mean? And I'm talking about real red flags, not the nonsense red flags. Real red flags that you've put up and said, hey, this actually is not something I can deal with. You know what I mean? The idea of someone can often be more alluring than the tangible person. I think Karen likes the idea of Miles, but his execution of Miles isn't her style. So she likes the idea of Miles, but the execution of who Miles is not her style. It's not fit for purpose for her. He said obviously the last couple of weeks, Karen has grown. She's done enough to basically stay. So last couple of weeks, Karen has improved. She's grown, but obviously she hasn't grown enough because you're still complaining about emotional and physical intimacy. Therefore, there's been breadcrumbs. Mere breadcrumbs have been littered to you, and you've got excited like Hansel and Gretel, and you started chewing and thinking to yourself, you've had the whole biscuit, but actually you had little crumbs. Okay, you didn't have the whole biscuit, and that should be a concern for Miles. And it should be a concern for him because he's actually accepting less. If this was a flip reverse of a man doing this to a girl, I would tell you ladies straight.
I don't feel like I'm getting my needs met. I think over the last couple of weeks, Karen's definitely grown.
You need to bounce. He ain't serious. He ain't real about your life, sis. You know what I mean? So I'm doing the exact same thing here, So for her to be using the excuse of there's no emotional connection, that's what there's not enough emotional connection, that's why it's hard for physical to happen. Sis has been 4 months, like I keep saying to you guys. I really believe that every step of the way that Karen's had full control over this. I read you guys another video where she was talking about where she spoke about in an article about how Miles really no, that was another article about how she felt like she didn't have to learn anything about masculinity, right? But it was another article I read where she said obviously that it doesn't matter as long as Miles understands me. And I was like, and she felt like Dr. Pepper was wrong for her estimation of the fact that Karen only cared about her own needs. And it's like, yo, sis, cameras are off, and if we see the end tape, that looks like, sis, you still ain't doing what you're supposed to be doing off the camera. I'm not saying again I'm not saying they won't continue after the reunion show. I believe they will, because until Miles wakes up from the Kenko, wakes up to swallow Kenko coffee, she ain't gonna leave that relationship. She's benefiting. She's got a man that will caress her, love her, worship her, and do whatever she wants. Why would she quit? She's in control, right? It's just toxic. It's childish in a sense. Like, do you know what I mean? You know what? Marriage is something that exposes us to more darkness, basically. Marriage has a habit of being able to expose the fact that there are parts of us that we haven't got to grips with. There are parts of us that need to change. And I think the marriage now, without the counselors, without the TV cameras, without anybody around, means no accountability for Karen, no boundaries for Karen. Whereas before, when there was some boundaries, she could be checked. There's now no limit. There's a limitless boundary, unless Miles puts one there, of how she can actually utilize the situation to her own benefit. I'm not trying to make her out to be an evil person. I want you to make it very, very clear. Distinguish what I'm saying from her being an evil person. She's not evil, but what she's doing is bad. You know what I mean? And she's unable to come to the truth, which is she just isn't feeling him, but she wants to keep him around because he's a nice guy, just in case.
We haven't talked about it.
Not really. Not really.
But they're coming.
They're coming.
We just haven't, figured it all out.
I mean, at least you got to this part. This is enough.
She said she wants a man with a plan, right? Wants a man to have a plan, etc., etc. At the end of the scene, we saw Karen with Miles saying to the group, we don't have a plan yet, we haven't discussed it yet. So hold on a minute, what have you been doing the whole entire time, sis, boy? Y'all ain't been discussing your future? And that for me is kind of an indication as well that maybe the person doesn't see you in their future. Now, I know she said, obviously, I can see Miles in my life forever. I can see us going together forever. But your behavior just ain't showing that it's forever. You know what I mean? Your behavior showing is temporal. And what was interesting, even in the interaction at the very end, when they were coming back together, was there was a part where I think it was Bennett or something, whatever, was making a joke, saying about his tattoo, and Miles and Woody were kind of like cracking up. Everybody was cracking up, but Miles and Woody specifically were cracking up in the middle, and it panned to Karen, and she wasn't laughing like anybody else. Everybody else was kicking and cackling, and Karen wasn't. Now, I'm not saying she's a stonewall. What I'm saying is I don't know if this is her field. I don't know if this is her type of engagement. I don't think this is her type of circle, because the energy she was bringing again was dead vibes. Dead vibes, like, sis, like, whoa, like, come on, we need to see more of that. You know what I mean? So I really believe that the excuse of, oh, the cameras are not there, she will improve, are not going to work. For anybody in a relationship saying something similar, maybe not cameras, oh, you know, maybe if a man says, oh, you know, when I get more money, I'll treat you better. No, you won't, because if you didn't do it now, you ain't gonna do it then. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's the little things, and this is what I'm even learning for my own relationship. You know, I was talking to my missus, and you know, I'm not really a gift person, but you gotta start somewhere, right?
She didn't like the cameras, so being able to have cameras away for a little bit, and us be able to like get to know each other a little better. I think especially at the pace that we were moving in, or we currently are moving in. So
I may not start with the £500 gift or the Birkin bag thing, you get me? But I gotta start somewhere. Because one day, if I want to be able to do the bigger gift, I have to practice small. You know, a roof doesn't cave in overnight. It starts with one tile. Guys, you got to start small. So if Karen's to do this affection, she got to start small. I feel like even the last episode when he was leaving the house, when she rubbed his beard, I felt like, yo, that was to try and, again, breadcrumbs. You know, Miles really said himself, again, he's denying his own self that, hey, look, you know, I'm going to need much time to get underneath the skin of the layer of Karen. You knew that, sir, and you still chose her. I think that's saying more about him than it is about Karen. So I feel like Karen is making these excuses about as to why she's going the pace she's going. Now, what's really interesting about that is that I know her mother said earlier on in the season that if you push Karen, she will shut down, which means whenever I don't feel like I'm going at my pace, I'm going to shut down. I ain't going to do it. I'm down in the tools, which actually becomes a form of control, because when the person's trying to say, listen, let's move forward now, you're like, nope, shut down. Oh, don't want to do it. Now you are trying to control the narrative. You're now no longer working together in tandem. You are controlling the environment that you're in. And unfortunately, that's not going to make a conducive relationship. You feel what I'm saying? The cameras are an excuse. Like I said, you got to do this small to do this big. It's no longer an excuse, sis. I hope that you you and Mars continue to do better and you grow from this experience. But yeah, guys, make sure you like, you share, you subscribe, and you click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. We appreciate you. Stay locked, stay loaded, man.